All right, it's 22nd, Tuesday.
Yes.
October.
Yep.
So what do you...
Ready to talk some politics. What's going on in Hong Kong? Something a little bit unusual today. There's a five-man and woman team is going to be heading off to the United Nations headquarters from Hong Kong as part of a Chinese delegation to give a report to the UNHCR, the United Nations Human Rights Commission. And it's basically the state of affairs of human rights in Hong Kong. And everybody shows up at the United Nations, I think it's every 5 years or so, and gives a report and says, what's the latest? Now, because of Hong Kong's status within China now, they go as part of the China delegation. I can only imagine China's got a lot more to answer to in terms of human rights than Hong Kong does. So our five-person team probably has a bit of an easier ride in Geneva over the time that they're there.
All right.
But they're going to be led by the Undersecretary Lau Kong-wah. And they're also taking people from labor, security, justice, and constitutional and mainland affairs.
All right.
To talk about that. One of the things I don't think they're going to be talking about is people's rights to have plastic bags when they go shopping. That will be discussed here in Hong Kong, in LegCo, because they're still talking about whether or not to take the tax and broaden it out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it just seems like the never-ending discussion. I mean, it's got to be. It's a relatively simple issue, but it's still in discussion about whether or not they're going to make all retailers charge for plastic bags, and then the retailers get to keep the money, but they have to charge, and they get in trouble.
But they keep the money now.
The big ones don't. And right now, they're turning it over to the government. It is a true tax. But another way of looking at it is that the new one will be like a mandatory charge, which is really odd. I've never heard of the government making somebody charge for something and saying, "Oh, and you can keep the money."
Yeah.
I mean,
you can ask them to charge and then bring the money back to the government,
which is a typical tax.
Yeah. But even the sales tax in any government is like this.
Yeah.
I mean, the retailer collect the sales tax.
Yeah.
Or the provincial tax in the Canadian case.
Yeah.
And then the tax has to send it back to the government.
Back to the government. But this one is completely innovative in the idea. It's like, you must charge it, but you can keep the money. I mean, look, I've never heard of that anywhere else, and hopefully if we have any tax people out there that have heard of something like this, please let us know.
It's not called tax.
No,
if this is the case, it should not be called tax.
Yeah, they call it a mandatory charge, a fee, something, because it's not exactly like a traditional tax. But but it does clearly show that the government is not doing this to raise revenue. Obviously, it's a behavior modification technique,
which is strange.
Yeah,
I agree, it's strange.
So I think that what that will do, I think, is put a lot of pressure on retailers from the consumer. Who'll be like, hey, well, come on, just give me a deal. Just give me a bag and pretend that it fell off your truck and somebody else did, or whatever. They'll be people angling for discounts. And at 50 cents a pop, probably a lot of those personal retailers will just be like, take a bag, don't worry, I'll eat the cost. So I'm very curious to see how the government's going to monitor that one. Mystery shoppers.
They won't be able to monitor it.
I guess they could do mystery shoppers, but that's kind of really they're going to hire civil servant level salaried people to go out and buy a fish in the wet market and go, oh, you didn't charge me for my 50-cent bag. Really? Is that worth the cost of enforcement?
No, they won't do it because that 50 cents can become a political scandal.
Yeah.
People will find it will be furious.
Yeah. Mr. Wong down in the fish market's going to be like, for 50 cents, they want to put me in jail.
Yeah, I mean, people will be furious about that.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be a crazy one. Another item that's going to be debated today that's got a much bigger ticket price tag on it is the creation of a harborfront authority for Hong Kong.
That has been ongoing for so long.
Yeah, but I think it seems to be picking up some momentum, this idea. And one of the questions, of course, that's going to be very important is what is the waterfront? Mm-hmm. If we have a waterfront authority, a harborfront authority, what is going to be under their jurisdiction? Is it going to be everything all the way from the far reaches of Kennedy Town all the way down to down past Chai Wan, or is it going to be what we have outside us here in front of the Civic Building?
You know what? I know that. You know the definition. There are actually two legal definitions within the ordinances in Hong Kong. The first definition is scrapped already.
Right.
It has been introduced by the current Undersecretary of Environment, Christine Low.
Okay.
When she first introduced the Protection of Harbor Ordinance. That was before the handover.
Wow. Back to her LegCo days.
She and Chen Wei-yip actually have a private members bill.
Right.
Chen Wei-yip modified her private members bill to define the inner harbor of Hong Kong. Right. And the inner harbor, you have longitude, latitude, which is the busiest part of the Victoria Harbor.
Sure.
That is the narrower definition of the harbor.
Right.
And if the government wants to revoke that definition, they have that in record.
Right, so they have to go back and change it. Yeah.
And there's another definition, which is, I think, it is in Chapter 1 of our Hong Kong Ordinance.
Okay.
Which
Chapter 1?
Chapter 1.
Okay.
What defines Hong Kong.
Right.
So they actually have a definition of harbor.
Okay.
So they draw a line east, I think, from Taiwan or South something.
Yeah.
And then all the way to Cory Bay.
Wow. Okay.
And then they have this very very difficult line draw from the western side, the western tip of the Hong Kong island.
Okay.
I think to Tsing Yi, and then further northwest.
Oh, really? So that's a big definition.
That's a very big definition. Okay. And I think the current protection of harbor ordinance has expanded scope from the inner harbor to
the big one,
to the Victoria Harbour, and that's the definition of the entire Victoria Harbour.
Right.
So, but if the government adopt the larger definition, then they will have some problems, because it touches on some of the PLA facilities.
Yeah, that's
People's Liberation Army's facilities.
That's going to be a sticky
including
one.
that one.
And exactly. And I know that
Does the Harbourfront Authority has jurisdiction over the PLA facilities?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because if you look, I don't know, can people see it on camera from where we're sitting right here?
Yeah, over there.
Yeah. So the PLA one's over that way. Yeah. But just on the other
Fenwick
side
Pier.
of us, Fenwick Pier. It's the Americans are in the harbour. Everybody's fine with that. That's where you go to get your cheap magazines. Beautiful restaurant, quarter deck.
Both. They have two.
Two restaurants.
Yeah, quarter deck, and then above quarter deck there's another nice.
They've got the new nice one. I mean, like
Italian restaurants.
Yeah, maybe if the PLA put a couple of nice restaurants. Maybe people would be okay with that. People don't remember the days when it was the only place in the world where you could get beer in a McDonald's cup.
Oh yes,
it was here at the Fleet Arcade.
Yeah, that one. I love that McDonald's.
Yeah, with Carlsberg.
Yeah,
that was crazy. But anyways, maybe it's curious to see if we get this Harbourfront Authority, if they will have authority over the PLA.
Yep. All right.
And whether or not the PLA will get parity with the Americans.
Well, I'll pick Harbourfront.
All right.
Clear out for today.
Thanks,
Andrew.
Thanks, Vincent.
Thank you.